During our review of the Oculus Rift CV1, I talked extensively about the discomfort I experienced when using the Oculus Rift with my glasses. With that said, I did provide a couple different options to help alleviate this issue, including checking out some prescription lenses from a company called VR Lens Lab. Now at the time, I hadn't tried out the lenses or even knew I was going to get some to review, but doing some research online, they seem to be the front runners in making life a little easier for those of us who have broke eyes and can't use contacts. But now I have received a pair of their prescription lens adapters, and racing in the Oculus Rift with my broke-ass eyes has never been better.
Sim racing chassis provided by Next Level Racing. You check them out at nextlevelracing.com.
Like the Oculus Rift, VR Lens Lab was born from a successful crowdfunding campaign via Kickstarter. The campaign to create prescription lenses for both the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive was not only fully funded in only 73 minutes on April 7th, but quickly realized with production units shipping to customers in June. And if you've ever been part of any type of manufacturing in your life, you know that this is extremely fast turnaround and very impressive. But like a lot of new products, there were some bugs. Mixed in with positive reviews were negative ones talking about lens distortion and lenses moving out of place, specifically with the Oculus Rift lens adapters. Which brings us to the lenses that we are reviewing today. The Oculus Rift lens adapters that we are reviewing have two upgrades over the initial production run. First, they sport red and black rubber spacers, a €19 or $20.40 recommended option that are supposed to keep the lenses in place during use. And second, our lenses have the new RABS lens technology, a €20 or $21.47 option, which makes the lenses thinner, lighter, and minimize distortion. These options can be selected on the Oculus Rift Lens Inserts order page at vr-lens-lab.com, where you also select your prescription. Prescriptions run all the way from +6 to -8, and if your prescription falls outside that range, you can contact Lens Lab for a custom request. My lenses with the adapters and RABS lenses came to a reasonable €88. I passed up the €29 Blue Guard coating, which protects your eyes from harmful blue light radiation, but because it removes blue light, yellows everything a bit. It was tough to pass up on because I am concerned about the amount of time I spend in front of screens, but because I wanted to keep the prescription lenses as close to the standard Oculus lenses as possible for the sake of the review, I passed. The only other additional cost is if your prescription is so strong that it warrants a thinner, higher index lenses. This option is automatically added if your prescription is +5.25 or higher, or -5.25 or lower, and is an additional €30. And for reference, I am a -4.25 prescription. Installing the lenses was pretty straightforward. The red spacer is for the left eye, black for the right. The convex side of the lens should be pointed towards your eye, or even easier, match the outline of the adapter to the outline of the Oculus lens. The real trick then becomes securing it. There are tabs on top and bottom, the top tab now featuring the spacer, that wedges into the Oculus's plastic/foam shroud that sits against your face. You have to not only get the tabs into the grooves, but then work them to keep the prescription lenses down against the Oculus's lenses. It takes a little bit of finesse, but once in place, you're ready to race. And how did the VR Lens Lab prescription Oculus Rift lens adapters perform? Nicely. Not only was it way more comfortable to not have my glasses shoved between the Rift and my face, the image was even a little clearer. I didn't notice any distortion issues as long as the lenses were in place, more on that later, or any more or less God rays when bright objects on screen bleed off light around the edges. It did appear like field of view was slightly decreased by the lenses, but you really had to be looking for it to notice it, so it was no bother to me. Another pro is I didn't experience the fogging up issues that I have with my glasses. Now, it has cooled off quite a bit here compared to when we reviewed the Oculus Rift CV1, so that makes it difficult for a one-to-one comparison. But with that said, my face now can breathe without glasses against my face, so even if it was warmer, I'd imagine it would take longer to fog up. And as we mentioned in our Oculus Rift CV1 review, having a fan pointed towards your face helps to reduce fogging with or without glasses or prescription lenses. Overall, this is the best VR experience I've had, looking better and feeling better than when I wore glasses or even contacts. Let's now talk about the only con I found with the VR Lens Lab prescription Oculus Rift adapters, keeping them in place. I couldn't imagine how much the lens adapters moved around prior to the spacers. Even with the spacers installed, I found myself checking and adjusting the adapters every time I was about to put the Oculus on. The adapters don't move a lot. It's not like they're falling over, but they do tend to migrate slightly side to side once in a while and nearly always pop up from the Oculus lenses. The good news is that this movement isn't very noticeable while in VR. I only noticed it when the text I was reading was a little out of focus. Before we get to our final thoughts, I want to talk about one more subject, and that's going and swapping between the Oculus headset and my glasses when it came to setting up the races. So how it would normally go is I would set up a session, my glasses on, take my glasses off, put the Oculus headset on, race, and then when I got done with that session, headset off, glasses back on. Now, this was certainly an inconvenience, but not nearly the inconvenience that it was having to wear glasses with the Oculus Rift headset, so I sucked it up. But with that said, while I was reviewing these lenses, I did find one product that made everything much easier. In Steam, there is a free app called Big Screen. Big Screen's primary mission statement is to connect people and allow them to hang out in virtual space and watch a movie, or virtually spoon or something. But my use for it was much simpler. It allowed me to view my desktop in VR, meaning I didn't have to take my headset off constantly. It was awesome being able to not only jump out of a session, create a new session, and jump in that one without removing my headset, but jump from one title to another and keep the headset on. In my opinion, Big Screen is a must-have not only if you purchase the VR Lens Lab adapters, but for VR use in general. It's so much nicer just leaving the headset on your face. One recommendation though, after you download Big Screen, go ahead and shut off your computer and turn it back on, because if you don't, it tends to go to black screen or essentially stop working after you leave your first race session. And I will say I did have that happen a few times afterwards while testing it, but it is still in beta and for the most part it works. So again, if you are a VR user, go download the Big Screen app. No reason not to. So with that said, let's move to our final thoughts. My experience with the VR Lens Lab Oculus Rift lens adapters was kind of surreal. It was the first time I could see without contacts in my eyes or glasses on my face in 15 years. It literally felt like my eyes were brand new. I'd imagine this is the feeling people have after getting LASIK. Yes, I know it's not because my eyes are magically fixed, but it feels like it, and that in itself is kind of magical. The VR Lens Lab prescription adapters aren't perfect. I still think there has to be a better way to secure them than wedging them in there. In fact, friends of the show, VR guru and VR Lens Lab backer Richard McNaughton 3D printed a custom holder that he designed to better keep them in place. I would like to see VR Lens Lab develop a add-on option like this so anyone who uses the prescription lenses can have the best experience possible. And by the way, if you're watching this VR Lens Lab, I have Richard's contact info, so hit me up. But besides the fit, which is far from a deal breaker, I have nothing but praise for the VR Lens Lab adapters. They really improved the VR experience for me. Now, that doesn't necessarily change my opinion of the Oculus Rift CV1 from our review, but I did find myself thinking it over a little harder when it's time to decide if I'm going to race on my triples or the Oculus. If you wear glasses and race in VR, do yourself a favor and go pick up a pair of these prescription VR Lens Lab adapters. Get the spacers if you have the Oculus Rift. get the upgraded RABS lenses, and go and download the big screen app, whether you wear glasses or not, and go race in VR with your now perfect 20/20 vision. At least pretend like you have 20/20 vision. Frickin' virtual reality, fooling us in more ways than we could ever had imagined.